Hi, everyone. My name is Christine Berenz, and I'm going to go ahead and get started. And this webinar is going to be on between booking and departure. So just quick getting to know me. I'm a two-time IATAN card holder. I've been booking travel with Archer and Evolution since January of 2021. So kind of when everything started to open back up. So that puts me at about 2.5 years now that I've been doing this. I'm also a gold consultant, which means that I've mentored something like 45 people in my team in the past 2.5 years. It's something that I really love doing because I figure if you can learn how to do it and you understand how amazing it is and how life-changing it can be, you might as well teach someone else and bring other people onto the team. And the other thing that I've realized a lot lately is that as I have too many inquiries coming in, if they're not really in the sector that I understand, I push them out to my team. So I know Nikki's on here and she can say, if it's a Disney booking, I'm like, you know what? I don't know as much as I should know about Disney. I'd rather those people get served and make sure that their needs are met, which is a lot of what we talk about in this training here, by someone who knows what they're talking about. It's impossible to know the whole world. So sometimes it's good to have and really plug into your team, whether it's your team above you or your team around you, to make sure that clients are getting served well. All right, so just a little more about me. I live in PA. I was just mentioning that in the beginning. So I live in the Appalachian Mountains. I live near Hershey Park. So if you've ever been to Hershey Park or eaten Hershey chocolate, we're very close to that too. My father was a big traveler. He traveled for work. So he always traveled to Europe, Germany, China, and always brought us little gifts home. That's kind of what sparked my interest for travel. COVID hit, and then everybody kind of had that wanderlust and wanted to get out, but didn't know how they could get out. And that's kind of where I got started in this business. I did start off full time because I had lost my job and I was I had an injury. So I was stuck at home and I needed some remote work from home type of position. And this popped up and I have absolutely loved it from day one. It has been absolutely life-changing for me and for my family. And I hope it is for you guys too. And then just the last thing is I've always had a hospitality background, and so has my husband. He's been in since 14 years old. I've been in since 16 years old, restaurants, bars, and then events and weddings, and that's kind of my passion. So if you ever hear me talking about like honeymoons and destination weddings, that's my niche, and that's my favorite type of client. So kind of getting into this. So in between getting them booked and getting them to leave, which is actually what I was dealing with right before I hopped on this Zoom, and I'll show you what I was working on. You want to set expectations. You want to set a timeline of contact. We're going to go over documents and we're going to go over like bonus points. So these are the things we're going to talk about today in depth. So just so you guys know, it's really hard to get that first client. So when you get that first client or when you get any clients, you really want to hold on to them and retain them. So it's important to understand that you don't just want to be getting new clients, even though yes, clients sometimes only travel once every 5 years. Sometimes they travel once every year. The clients that I'm working with that are leaving tomorrow just got back from, I think they travel every 2 to 3 weeks. So then they don't actually use me for every single trip, but they do use me often, which is great. So it's good to develop those relationships and retain clients instead of always hustling to get a brand new client. You really want to make their experience incredible so that they also refer you to other people, and that will expand your network. So it's important to set expectations for your clients, right? So you're probably having a lot of conversation in the beginning, right? You're narrowing down what destination works best for them, then what accommodations, flights, travel components, excursions, and things like that. There's a lot of conversation up front. And then sometimes, they get booked and then it's like, what do I do? Now, what do we talk about? And they might have this little bit of a letdown. So it's important to explain to them what services you provide also after you're booked, right? So you want to think in your head, okay, what does like Expedia offer? Right? It's just kind of like really pretty visuals, and then you book it, and then they send a confirmation, and that's kind of it until maybe the day before your travel, where they're like, hey, confirm or check in for your flight. That might be it, right? So what can you offer instead of that, or in addition to just those booking confirmations, right? So you're offering them direct communication, right? But you will also want to set boundaries. I'm not going to lie. I have people text me, messenger me, call me at 11:30 at night. And if anyone knows me, I turn my phone off 9:30 because I've got 3 little kids. So I need to set those boundaries to make sure that my time is respected. I do turn my phone back on, like 4:30 in the morning. But I don't respond to clients outside of those hours, just out of respect for all of that. Okay. So like, even though I might see the message, I might send the message maybe at 8 o'clock in the morning. And then I probably set my other boundaries at 9 p.m. at night. Now that's completely different if someone is in travel. If someone is in travel, absolutely, I'm going to answer their phone calls, I answer their text messages and things like that. So I do, especially if they're still on a flight, I will absolutely keep my phone on and make sure that they are good to go. Let me see here. So trip modifications, you're going to be working with their vendor. So a lot of times when people use travel agents, they are going to make a lot of modifications. It's actually quite shocking, but they're going to, change their dates. They're going to want to cancel or modify excursions. So those are the things that you're going to make be very, very easy for them. So let them know that they can reach out to you and to not hesitate at all if they have anything that they want to change or modify. So you can also add on travel components, right? So a lot of times you might get them booked for the cruise, but then you haven't gotten them booked for the flights or the hotel afterwards, or transfers between the airplane or the airport and the hotel. So those are things you can add on. You can bundle them all in the beginning too. But if they haven't decided on those things yet, or they kind of want to make like a payment plan, like they want to pay for the cruise now, but they want to work on the hotel later, or even if the flights aren't available yet, I have that a lot of times. So I will communicate with them, okay, we booked your cruise, but my gosh, we're like 2 years out. So your flights aren't ready yet. We can get the hotel booked, but we can also bundle it all together. So I'll set an alarm for August 1st when those flights come out, and we can go ahead and work together again to make the next decisions. So make sure you have that communication and set those expectations, because I promise you, I've had plenty of clients who will just text me. I'm like, flights aren't even available for your trip yet. We can think about them, but we can't even imagine what the pricing is. And so I know I have a little bit of everything in between. I have people who plan things 2 years out, and I have people who plan things 2 weeks out, and then everything in between. So you just have to like calm them down and let them know, because people can be very anxious. If they do it themselves, they can do it immediately, but they still have a lot of questions. So you're going to be there, you're going to get it done, but when are you going to get it done? When can they expect you to reach back out to them? Don't have them reaching out to you constantly. Calm them down on that one. And then you can also make an interactive itinerary. So that's something that you can offer to them, and you can set that expectation so that they feel comforted. I also am very conversational in my itineraries. I'll put like updated on this date, or I checked it on this date. And then whenever I write down what did I do that day, I'll even write down like, okay, July 16th, what I did was I checked in for the hotel, I updated this, or I confirmed this with this person and they said that was okay. Any of that communication, you don't always have to reach out to your clients constantly, but anytime they pop into their itinerary, they can see those updates. And I'm going to show you that interactive itinerary at the end. So kind of how that can really be helpful for your clients, of things that you offer and communication that you do to make your clients more at ease after they've booked and between and when they leave. So I kind of ran into this one. Sorry, it's been a while since I've done this one. I apologize. So another timeline of contact that you're going to run through them is payment. So that's a big one. So a lot of times our vendors will allow deposits and then they'll allow final payment. But some people might want to pay monthly, so you can communicate with them. So you can always say, do you want to split this up into 4 easy payments? A lot of the vendors now are creating the ability to do that in their booking portals, especially things like Cruising Power will have flex pay. I think Carnival does it as well. And I know that Vax is popping up with that. I've seen that come up recently too. So those are some options of things that you can work with your client on. And these are the things that you're going to want to set reminders for yourself, or sticky notes or a whiteboard, so that you remember the timelines that you're going to contact them. And then things like confirmation. So you want to do confirmation and you want to let them know, you're going to be confirming their hotels, their flights, transfers, excursions. That's all the things you're going to be doing about 2 weeks prior to their trip. So 2 weeks to 1 week prior to, you want to be reaching back out to those companies. Even if it's Vax, they're going to handle all that, but you can call, you can email. Email is always best in my opinion, because then you've got that written documentation, and just say, hey, my clients are really excited to come on this, or come to your hotel. Can I just confirm their reservation? Here's the documentation I have. And a lot of times, just between us, you're going to need that, because some of the vendors that we use, they'll give you one confirmation number, but the hotel will have a different confirmation number. So that way you've just got that communication and you've confirmed everything. Now, actually, this is a little bit older, but with Disney things and cruises, those are a little different. And some of these things you'll have to Google, but with cruises, you'll want them to set up their account. They can get access to their excursions and check their onboard credit. When they do check-in and things like that, you can Google a lot of these things. So for Royal Caribbean, I think check-in is about 45 days prior to departure. Carnival is about 2 weeks prior to. So every cruise line's a little different. But you want to make sure that once you've got them booked, you let them know, okay, now I want you to create yourself an online account, connect your booking, and then you can set that up, and then you can visualize it, and they can get excited about it, especially with an app on the phone. They can start making, dining reservations, or with cruises, they can do Wi-Fi, make even book shows, book excursions, things like that, and then let them know when they're going to be checking in to their cruise, and they can print out like luggage tags and boarding passes at that point. So just making sure they understand these are the follow-ups I'm going to be doing, and then set those reminders for yourself. Again, if you do it on your phone, sticky note, whiteboard, whatever is easiest for you, a big calendar on your desk, so that you can reach back out to them. Even just quick little text messages like, hey guys, it's time to check in for your flights. Are you guys excited? Are you all packed? Little things like that. All right, so in terms of documents, these are things you're going to be doing between booking and departure. So your vendor documents are going to be very specific. So a lot of times, especially with bookings and Vax, you won't get those full travel itinerary documents until final payment is made. So final payment, especially with Vax, is due 45 days prior. If you're using something like Europe Express, there's 75 days prior to. So just read through the documents as to when you're going to get that, and email if you don't understand when, or put it in your chat if you don't know when they're going to get those documents. And then make sure they're always getting sent to you. You read over them, and then you forward them on to your client, and let them know when they're going to get them. Okay, so let them know when your final payment is made. You will be receiving the full travel itinerary with all the details, the confirmation numbers. If you've ever booked something in Vax, again, it's going to tell you like where the Anstar reps are, what they look like, when do you have to meet them, what all their phone numbers are, and things like that. And make sure that you're truly sending them the document, because if you send them the document, it's going to have lots of links in there that they can click into and read more, and just have that conversation with them. Like, you've got to read through your terms and conditions. You have to understand all these things, because you as a travel advisor are signing off that they understand those things. So you want to be going through them yourself, memorizing them, and giving that to your clients. Now, the biggest thing that I have created that has helped me in terms of documentation is creating a what to know before you go form. And since this presentation, I have updated. Now I have one for like international. I have one for domestic, which is just a little more simplified, and then one for cruises. And it's just things, a lot of them I've Googled, like what should you know before you go? Or what kind of things should you think about before you travel internationally? And I've just kind of pieced them together into a form that I made, and this is through Travefy. So I'll show you this, but you can still make it through JotForm, Google Form. Those are free versions. You can make it as a PDF that you give to your client that they can literally just check it off, like print and check. I like Travefy because they can click it, and then they submit it back to me, and I know, okay, cool, you've gone through it, and we've just gone through some of the silly things, but they're also the serious things. Like, don't forget your passport, or if you're going on a cruise, maybe your license and your birth certificate if you're doing that. Masks are still a great idea. I mean, it used to be like you need your vaccination, you need your card, you need all those things. So all the things like taking a picture of your passport, I'll go through all those things with you. And that's what's in my what to know before you go. And I let them know that's going to get sent to them 2 weeks prior to, so they can start checking those things off their list. So again, you can create a form through like JotForm, Google, and make sure like you have to create it. That way it comes back to you. If you just use my form, it just comes back to me. So it's directed towards my email address. And then you want to just personalize it with your advice. I always find to do at the very end something fun, like make sure to set your out of office on your email and have a great time, something like that. Okay, so because my internet always sucks, I try and take screenshots of things so that you can see it. But basically, this is what my form looks like. So at the very top, it's got the lead traveler's name. And then it says, please to check to make sure all of your details are correct. And this is kind of a silly thing because, to be honest, they should have done all of this a long time ago. And you should have done all of this a long time ago with too. Let me see if I can make this a little bigger for you guys. Okay, so believe it or not, because I do a lot of honeymoons, I always have to make sure with my brides, do not change. Like, we are going to have your name as your maiden name. You are going to travel in your maiden name. That's what your passport says. But I do have sometimes where couples get married and then their honeymoon is 6 months after their wedding. So I have to make sure that conversation is had to make sure that the name you gave me is the same that's on the passport and you don't change anything between the day we booked and the day you travel. So that's a conversation I have to have. Just double checking that their date of birth is correct, their flight times and dates are good. That's a good time too, in case I've had a lot of times where flight numbers have changed. And because I double checked 2 weeks prior to, I was able to make sure to update their itinerary. If you guys are anything like me, you probably get 1,000 emails. So sometimes those things get buried. So it's good to just triple check your itinerary 2 weeks prior to. Departure and arrival cities, gosh knows if that ever happened. But this was something, again, I found on Google. If you mess up the arrival, 2 weeks is a good time to be able to fix a lot of things. 3 days is not a good amount of time to make any of these big changes. Hotel dates, I've had people 2 weeks prior to have to adjust their timing. So this is just a good reminder. Are these the dates that we talked about? Are these the dates that are good for your schedule? Same thing with car rental dates. So this is a little bit for me and it's also a little bit for them, just triple checking everything. Making sure their passport's valid for at least 6 months after your return home. Again, these are things we should be doing at the very beginning prior to booking, but just double checking. And it always should say that your passport has 2 or more empty pages. That's kind of an old rule. I never really had that problem, but I guess for people who travel a lot, they might need 2 more. And then just your 2 week prior to, we talked about trip insurance. Believe it or not, you can still add trip insurance, I think up until about 2 or 3 days prior to, but now I've seen ads with some companies that'll even do it when you're traveling, just for like an in-travel protection in case anything happens in travel or there's any baggage problems, you can cover that, but it won't be canceled for any reason. Travel protection, that kind of insurance you need to get as soon as you book or within 7 days or 14 days, depending on the policy. Okay, so for international travel, things like vaccination, I'm pretty sure I've cleaned this up and the COVID testing is out of there, but just double checking visas. You never know when something's going to change. There's also been a lot of fees that are popping up lately, especially international travel, Europe or Italy. A couple of them are putting city fees in there. So just triple checking in destination 2 weeks prior to, are there any updates? Travel advisory. So these things have links. A lot of these links you can also get from our travel cafe, which is great. So our travel site. So if you go to your back office, go to your travel site, there's a ton of information there and you can get these websites. And I'm going to send you this form at the end of this meeting. I'm going to put it in the chat so that you guys have it as if you were my clients. And then you can kind of copy and paste as needed, or you can rewatch this presentation if that's helpful to you. And then you can create your own. So international travel must-dos, there's a STEP program. So if you've ever listened to Jose, he talks about the STEP program. So in case there's any natural disasters or any police, anything going on in destination, you'll be alerted to it if you enroll in the STEP program. It's completely free. It's just kind of making sure you're alerted to things that are going on in destination. With children, always make sure that they've got some type of written consent. If you're traveling with, so I have a lot of times parents maybe have a kid and they're bringing a friend along with them, or if there's any type of divorce or separation, just making sure they have documentation and they're packing it to allow that child to leave the country. And then just says, I've reviewed these websites for my travel, or I have additional questions. So they can click on those things. Over here, possible additional charges. So, and this is something I had way back when I first started. I had people who were just like, I have to pay for my bags. This is still a new thing. Not everybody travels often. Not everybody understands that they might have to pay the car rental taxes and fees, might be due at the counter. It might say that in their documents, but they just haven't reviewed it. The incidental credit card hold at the hotel or resort, they might not be aware of that. Also, I feel like I put it in here somewhere, but it is an additional charge if they're using a debit card versus a credit card. So understanding that, they might have to pay car parking fees, tips, gratuities, airline baggage fees. I've had people understand that they had to pay for their bags, but then they get there and then they weigh their bag and they have to pay even more. So just understanding resort fees, they might have to pay all these things. So you're having that conversation, you're putting in your head, yes, we put together this contract, but there might be additional fees. And I try and call the hotels, especially Hawaii. I think I had a lot of that where it would say like there is a cleaning fee, but they wouldn't tell you how much. So I would just call and say, how much is my client expected to spend in cleaning fees per day for each room? And that way they have an idea of what kind of fees they're going to be paying in destination. Okay, so just a reminder for them to pack all these travel documents like your passport, your booking confirmations. Like I said, I'm pretty sure I've updated this. I just didn't update the screenshot, the vaccine card, masks if they feel uncomfortable on the plane even, and then leaving a copy of their documents and a photocopy of their passport with someone at home. And that's something that I've started doing. I just take a picture of it and just send it to my mother or send it to anyone who's staying home. I send them an email of my travel documents so they know where I am and what my confirmation numbers are, just in case you lose everything, you know, or you can't have Wi-Fi. Just someone else has all that, so you know. I mean, obviously your travel advisor has it all too, but maybe just give it to somebody else too. And then notifying your businesses of travel. So this is a little old too. I've reached out to some of my credit cards before I travel, and they're like, well, now that it's got a chip on your card, we don't really need to know, but you can do it in the app too. But it used to be where you might only take 2 or 3 credit cards. And if one of them got shut down because you went to like Mexico and they're like, oh, we didn't realize you were going to Mexico. So they shut your card down. You didn't have enough cash on you. You were kind of out of luck and it's hard to make those phone calls. So try and notify your businesses that like your credit card, your phone company, things like that. If you're leaving the country or going on a cruise, especially cell phones, so you understand the charges. So those are the conversations I have with my clients. So will do or have questions on it are things they can click. And then any other questions. And like I said, I did add in there, make sure to set your out of office and have a great time. So those are some little personalizations that I've updated this. Okay, so just a real quick recap of what we've talked about so far, right? So we're setting expectations. We're giving them a timeline of when we're going to be reaching out to them. So setting the expectations of these are the things I'm going to provide. They can reach out to me anytime, right? And then this is when I'm going to be reaching out to you in terms of when your itineraries are updated, when I'm going to confirm things with your vendors, and also when your payments are due. And when they can start doing check-in for flight, check-in for cruises and things like that. And then what documents I'm going to be sending them. Now, truthfully, I do not send physical documents to people because I find that every single time I print something, everything changes. Either they change dates or the airline changes times and numbers. So it's almost like printing things until it's like the week of is almost worthless. So that's why I always have this interactive itinerary that is constantly updated for them. So I don't truly do printouts, but plenty of companies do and plenty of travel advisors do. So if that's something you do, I think that's awesome, but just know that sometimes things might change. So let's go through the bonus, right? So like, how can you and your business stand out? So like let's do like the real fun stuff, right? Okay. So for some bonuses, before they travel, you can always send them a thank you card. And I feel like that's really important to do very quickly. So as soon as I book them, I write out a thank you card and I get that in the mail because I know it's going to take like 2 days to get there. And always ask for the referral. So in the first paragraph, I'm going to say something like, thank you so much for trusting me and booking your travel with me. I'm so excited that your family gets to have this incredible trip. I look forward to working on any other details with you. And then the next paragraph, I say, and if you know anyone else either who wants to join you on this trip or just who might benefit from my services, I would be so honored if you would pass along my information. And so that's my thank you card. And then I just put 2 business cards in there, maybe one for them, maybe one for a friend. And then I sign that and I send that off immediately. So imagine if every booking you had, they referred one more person. I mean, it's simple math right there. It's a great way to grow your business. You can send them collateral. So one of my biggest clients was a Hawaii trip, and she went to like the 4 different islands of Hawaii. Huge trip, right? So this is actually when I purchased the Travefy subscription, because I was like, this itinerary, I can't even put this in Word or Canva. It's hurting my brain. There were so many details to her hopping between islands. So I also reached out to the Hawaiian Tourism Board. So I just Googled it, and it said like, send me brochures. So I said, I'm a travel advisor, and I got maybe 10 brochures for each island. So I sent her a package with the brochures. I highlighted where they were going to be staying. I highlighted any interesting information, and then I just sent that with my thank you card. I've also done that for people who go on cruises, and maybe it's their first cruise. So I have some Royal Caribbean collateral. I might put in like the CocoCay brochure and get them excited about that and send that along with my thank you card. So that just kind of depends on you and your clients and what collateral you have. But you can also send them collateral that's yours. So like you can send them, a pen or a luggage tag or something like that that says your business name on it. And you can do that immediately after they book or closer to, if you're still kind of in the works of getting branded collateral to send to them. So little swag things. I got little purses that say like, let's go on vacation with a little flamingo, fun little things that you can send your clients just so they remember you. And then they know, I just spent all this money. Now they didn't spend it directly with you, but they trust you with all of that processing, all of that money. So it's nice for them to physically get something in their hands too. Swag, sorry, I kind of went over that. Travel packing tips. So if that's something that you love doing, if you love making a travel pack list, especially again for first-time cruisers or for Disney or something like that, you can create a document and send that along with them, or you can do it digitally if you like. Make sure to send them affiliate links. So that's something that I know Jody talks about often. So yes, you booked your trip. Now here's a link to Viator to really like make that trip incredible and add some excursions and experiences into your trip. So you can send them that too. Oops, sorry. That went a little faster than I expected. Okay, so the next one. During travel, and I also do this before travel, and I also do this after travel, you can send them a gift. And that kind of just depends on what's going on in my life. So if I have something going on while they're traveling or after they're traveling, and I know I might not remember, I might send them a gift beforehand saying like, to get you excited for your trip. I might send them a gift during travel, especially in the cruise. You can just Google send a gift or send something to someone on a Royal Caribbean ship. You literally just Google that. It'll take you right to Royal Caribbean. All you do is put in maybe the ship and sailing number or the date, maybe their last name, and it will pull it up for anyone. So anyone could send anyone a gift in their room. So you can send them like a fruit platter or cheese and crackers, a bottle of wine, something in budget. You can send them onboard credit too, which I think is really neat. Or if they're at a hotel or resort, and sometimes they're already getting a bottle of champagne, you can reach out and just say, hey, can you write, hope you enjoy your trip from your travel advisor, and put that with that bottle of champagne. So that's a really free way to do it. For a lot of my honeymoon couples, I'll send them a bottle of champagne either before their trip or after their trip and just say like, I'm so sorry you had to come back to reality. I hope this helps. We look forward to working with you again. So sending people gifts. I'm definitely either an Amazon gift card girl, an onboard credit, or bottles of wine or champagne for my honeymoons. But sometimes I do snacks and treats, especially if they have kids and they're going to cruise. Those are some things that I've done as gifts. During travel, it's also important that you can check in via things like Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, especially if it's internationally. Just check in on them. Say like, I saw your Facebook post. Your pictures look incredible. I hope you guys are having a great time. So those are some little touch points you can do while they're traveling too. And then after they travel again, you can either send them a gift after they travel. And then you're always going to want to ask for feedback. So this one I've kind of gone a little bit back and forth. I used to ask for feedback about 3 days after, And then when I started doing week-long trips myself, I was like, gosh, like I came home, my email inbox was so full that I didn't want to talk to anybody for a week. So I started updating my feedback to send about 7 days out. But I would still just send them a quick message and just say, like, I know you're home. I hope the rest of your trip went really smoothly. I'll touch base with you in a week, something like that. Just so I know, I let them know I'm thinking of them, want to make sure that they got home safe, go home, relax, unpack later, just a quick little message. And then a week later now, I'll say, take some time this weekend to just do a real quick referral so that I have information for future clients on, the hotel, the resort, any of those travel components. I can show you that form that I send there too. And again, always ask for a referral. Like, I'm so glad your trip was incredible. If you know anyone else who happens to be thinking about traveling coming up, if you would refer me, I would be so honored. Something like that. Okay. So that's kind of all my ideas and what I do. I'm going to show you what I do real quick, but come up right now with your questions and you can start putting them in the chat and we can kind of have a group discussion. So we still have like 20, 25 minutes, so plenty of time. And then this is my favorite. I like to do homework because I feel like it's good to get that information and kind of and let the wheel start spinning, but it's also good to actually do it. Just like get it done right now, right? So this is my email address and I can pop it in the chat too. Okay, I'm going to send you my what to know before you go form. And then I want you to actually fill it out. So just fill it out because it's just going to come to me and I don't mind. I'll get to know all of you through it, right? And then create your own and then you can send that to me. Again, you can do Google form, Jot form if you'd like. You can just do a Word document, PDF, Canva document, whatever works best for you for some type of checklist that you would like to send your clients. And then email it to me so I can so that you've just done it, right? You've checked that off your list. Now you've got a what to know before you go. And then I can also send you, if you'd like, I'll send you a referral code if you haven't yet signed up for Travefy, but also go to your mentor first. If your mentor has Travefy or Travel Joy and they prefer that one, make sure you're always signing up through someone because if you use like a referral link, they get a little bonus and you get a bonus too, and you get better discounts too. Okay, let me see here. Oh, gosh, this is really old. I haven't looked at this in a while. So as a bonus credit, you can, I know a lot of the girls have been doing these trainings. So this is just kind of hitting it home, really, like create your company's mission statement. Like what makes you stand out? Why do you do what you do? What's your passion? So create, the mission statement saying that like you are here to help others, travel more or travel more seamlessly or just not have to worry about choosing destinations or spinning their wheels. Like, what are you here for, right? And then what are your goals? And then what is your why? And then make yourself a success folder. Those are just some of the things that helped me when I first started. Like, make a folder of all the things that you've accomplished, whether your testimonials from your clients, certifications. You can also use social media as a great place to kind of be your folder of like every Thursday, post things that like a client has said to you via text or email, just saying how great you are and what a great job you're doing. Also post your certifications. Like you're probably, if you're in the very beginning, you're probably kind of working through different trainings. Maybe you're getting certified in a particular cruise line or on VAX or things like that, or in a specific destination. Post those things. You're learning, you're growing, and you're progressing, and make sure to kind of see like how far you've come and set yourself a goal for like every week. Like every week I'm going to do a certification, or every week I'm going to reach out to someone until I get a booking. Okay, let me get into my Travefy to kind of show you where I'm at and show you what I was just working on too. And then I'll get into the questions. So again, just keep popping questions into the chat and then I'll go into that in just a moment. So I was just working on this trip. My clients are leaving tomorrow. And this is actually the same clients. They do very complicated trips. They're the same clients who in the very beginning, their first trip with me was that Hawaii destination, jumping from island to island. They're the whole reason why I got this account. And since I got the account 2.5 years ago, the technology has updated just exponentially for the same price. So for the same price I paid 2.5 years ago, I get so many more automations, tasks, lists, forms, library, all this really cool stuff. Now I'm created my website through Travefy. It does everything. So over here, you can see, can you see it? Let's see that they've viewed the itinerary or they've viewed the app. I have tasks that are due. You can create tasks for them. So I can send them a farewell, like, have a great flight. I've confirmed the details, so I'm going to check that off. I can send them a welcome home. So some of these are just reminders that just kind of get sent as a notification to my phone. Some of them, see this one say right here is an automatic form. That's the feedback form that automatically gets sent to them 7 days after they've returned. So let me show you my what to know before you go form. I'm going to give you the international one. It's a little bit more in depth, and then you can just kind of pull it back for a domestic trip. Okay, so let's see here. What to know. Okay, so I'm going to share this and take a link, and I'm going to put this in the chat here for you guys. Okay, so that should be my form. You should be able, let me know if you can open it and you can visualize this form. Let me see if I can preview it here. Let's do the desktop version. Okay, and you can put little photos in there too. So it's all still pretty similar to what I showed you guys. And this is the way it will look on the desktop. And then it will be, it's also mobile optimized too. So they can kind of click into these things and it looks really good on their phone too. And then there's the, remember to set your out of office and enjoy. Thank you so much for booking with, and then your travel company's name. So that's my what to know before you go form that I send out automatically 2 weeks prior to the trip. I also resend them just a copy of the itinerary 1 week prior to their trip. And again, it's all automated through Travefy. So you set up those automations and you can say like 7 days before trip start date or 7 days after trip start date or any of that you can send. You can also automate credit card authorization forms to them. You just have to fill out how much they owe. And then you can put a little note saying like, this is for this payment, your final payment on that. So very, very user-friendly. And then there was I'll show you the feedback form too. Somebody let me know in the chat if you were able to open up that link that I shared. And then, let's see, feedback. I'll share this one for you guys too. You can see it. Okay, cool. All right, here's my feedback form. And so I've changed this many, many times. I really want it to be simple. I know if you guys have ever gotten a feedback form and it says like, thank you so much for taking 10 minutes of your time to fill this out. I'm like, I don't have time for that, right? So I try and really entice people. I really try and say, just take a few minutes this weekend. It will really help future travelers know, are these good resorts? Are these good hotels? Is this a good cruise line? Was it a great itinerary? That kind of thing. Okay, so I try and make it really easy. Put their name, give their hotel, resort, and cruise a score. Would you stay there again, and give some details? If you can offer a future client a piece of advice, what would it be? Leave a testimonial of any other travel components, and then a testimonial of your overall booking experience. Would you agree to allow us to use those testimonials or photos for future marketing purposes? I always try and ask people, like, don't give me like direct shots of your family. Like if you're just giving me a beautiful scene or the room or something like that, I want to make sure that their identities are protected if I'm going to be posting them on my social media. Any additional notes there? And then, oh gosh, an old photo. I've got to update that. And then just asking them for the photos and then saying thank you. That's it. That's my feedback form. And every once in a while I pop in there and I just update it too. Okay, so going back to your homework, you're going to click on that what to know before you go form. You're just going to click through it, right? Now you've got that link, save it somewhere or email it to yourself, wherever it's easiest to get that link. And that way, hopefully you'll be able to like copy and paste or at least kind of put your own words to a form. And then, so not only you're going to fill it out, it'll get sent back to me automatically, but here's my email address again. It should be in the chat, and then create your own and then send that to me. And you can also just, I'm not in my email super often. I'm only in it when I'm at my laptop, but send me any questions you have. And if you like Travefy, and you want that referral code or TravelJoy, again, check with your mentor. But then if you still need it, just ask me. I'd be happy to give it to you. Okay, I'm going to go through the chat real quick and see what kind of questions you guys have. Okay. I find it easy to give gifts for cruising customers, but more difficult for other trips or trips that you don't earn much commission on. Do you send a percentage of the commission? That's a good point. I find it sometimes very difficult to send gifts too. And that's why I think Jody mentioned she just has wine.com. So I have wine.com and I just send them a bottle of wine. I typically spend about $25 on my gifts, whether it's $1,000 commission or a $25 commission, because I know that they're going to book me again. I mean, Expedia is not going to send them a bottle of wine or a gift card or anything like that, right? Costco will, though. So be careful with Costco because they will give them credit right towards shopping in their store. So you're competing with some things like that. So try and just think, if I was using a travel agent and it is a little bit more of work than for me to just book it myself, what would I feel surprised by? For instance, my client just came home from Portugal, but she had her kids with her. They couldn't do the wine tasting that I had suggested. So I sent her a bottle of wine from Portugal, from the wine valley that I had specifically said, hey, you should do a wine tasting while you're there. And she's like, no, I've got kids. So I sent her a bottle of wine from wine.com from that area as a little surprise for her when she got home. Okay, so you said you tried Travefy, but for one or another reason, you didn't like it, so TravelJoy. Yeah, 50-50. I feel like people are very 50-50 on both. Whatever works best for you and your clients, that's all that matters, right? Any info on what travel documents client resort info for Sandal provides? So for sandals, that's a great question because I book a lot of sandals. They're more website based. So just Google things and it'll get you to the right spot on sandals. So more so on the consumer portal than on the travel advisor booking portal. So kind of just Google, like, what should I know before my sandals trip? And also, if you're in the Facebook group for sandals, you can kind of like use a search tool there. Like, what do you send your clients before they come? Because it is not as obvious. But there's basically like a checklist, like a travel checklist of what they should pack, what they should know about the resort prior to. They should download the app, very similar to cruises. Even a lot of hotels and resorts now have apps. My clients just went to Secrets and there was a whole app for that. That was kind of cool. So they can see like what activities are going on that day. They can, now with sandals, they can even book dining prior to. It's still a little glitchy, but it works. They can check in prior to on the app too. And obviously they don't have to do any of this. If you have older clients and they don't want the app, they don't want to check in, they can still, of course, just do it when they get there. They're going to run through the same process of, giving them a credit card to hold for incidentals, giving them their information. But with sandals is a little more specific too, because they want to know when your flights are coming in because they're going to coordinate all of your transfers. So yeah, you might just kind of Google a little bit. You'll find it on the consumer page. Also, to know for sandals, they do reward honeymoons. They're just going, again, Google it. You have to submit like their either like their invitation to the wedding or their wedding certificate. Their invite's way easier. You just email the bride and say, hey, can you send me a copy of your invite? So excited. And then you forward that along and they'll get the honeymoon package. That actually works for other resorts too. I've done that for a few of my couples. Are my forms shared on Marketplace? I don't know, Gabby. To be honest, I keep seeing that pop up about Travefy's Marketplace. I feel like probably, I think you almost have to say no for your forms to not go on Marketplace, but I'm not sure. Do you send this form out to your client or as an automation Travefy? So I make them all automations. But before, I think that's only been about a year they've been doing those automations. So I send them all as automations because with 3 kids, sometimes I don't know what day of the week it is and I don't ever want to forget. I want to, set it and forget it and it sends it automatically. And I even kind of send it to myself so that I get the email too. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's already 2 weeks before their trip. So I send them to myself too. Okay, so sandals is online. I did create the Butler preferences form in TravelJoy. Yep. Yes, that's a good point too. If they're in a Butler room, you'll fill out the Butler preferences too. And that sandals will send you a reminder, say, hey, it's time for your client to fill out their Butler preferences. That's the one thing I've noticed they'll reach out to you for. My bride is all over that. Yep, you have to opt out. That's what I thought. Yeah, you have to. Yeah, I figure all your stuff's already public, but then you have to say, I want these things to be private. In my opinion, it's all kind of like opinions, right? So like, this is how I want my form to look like. You know, people are going to have to say, there's nothing that's, you know, the gold standard of this is how you need to communicate with your client, right? It's all about what experience, your personal touch on things and what you want to know. And you're always going to be adding to it. Every time your clients reach out to you and they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize this, this, and this. I'm like, I will add that to my form for my next client who didn't realize this, this, and this, right? So some of it you can communicate just verbally over the phone, through text or email, but also you can pop it in that form. So you've had that extra layer of communication. And I know Stacy's got lots of really cool guides for different destinations too. So specific destinations might need a little more communication about what they're going to encounter. How do I manage large groups for cruises? So you have a birthday cruise come, started booking into the group and it's overwhelming. I use spreadsheets like crazy. Also, if you're using Shopify or TravelJoy, both of them have really cool landing pages and things like that where you can intake the information. So you can create like a landing page where they fill out like, you know, their contact information and then what room they're interested in, and then you book them from there. So that helps a lot. You just say, here's the link to get more information about the cruise that you guys are going on, and then they fill out their information. And then I just do a spreadsheet. So I'll show you one of my very first bookings. Hang on one second. I think I'm going to end the recording just so it will be client information. So I'm going to see if I can get to end the recording.